Some could say 2020's been a disruptive year. It goes beyond physical distancing, hand sanitizing, toilet paper hoarding, and looking like we're all going to rob the grocery store. This year has been revealing and magnifying, revealing attitudes that the status quo could no longer protect, and magnifying tragedies that many knew existed but no longer could ignore. Although the multitude of social inequalities falls into that description, so does the environmental crisis. We must not forget what houses us all, and without a healthy ecosystem, we have nowhere to call home. On January 1st, 2016, the United Nations launched the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, otherwise known as the world's to-do list. Are you familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals? Citizens all over the world had a voice. The goals' targets will stimulate action in 5 critical areas: people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. The world's to-do list has 17 goals and 169 associated targets. For the first time in history, world leaders pledge a common action across a broad and universal policy agenda. I know it may not look like our governments are collaborating, but we have a to-do list to prove it. Everyone, governments, civil society, citizens, institutions, businesses, small and large, everyone has a role and an opportunity to turn the tide on the critical issues of our time. These goals are in 3 distinct buckets: society, economic, and environmental. All of the goals with a green dot have an environmental focus. More than half of the goals will only be achieved if we aggressively drive toward a carbon neutral environment. As the proverb says, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. In the last 2 months alone, we've learned that 2020 is on course to be the warmest year on record. Due to the warm temperatures, the Arctic is starting to transition to a new climate. There's concern that it would be ice-free in the summer of 2035. Some predict 2030. The refuge for walruses, seals, and polar bears will be gone, and the Inuit food source will become depleted. In August, California has had the largest blaze in history, burning more than 471 acres. It was so bad that even the Big Smoke, Toronto, had an additional milky haze. 5 of the largest fires in California history have been in 2020. One starting from fireworks in someone's backyard. In July, an international ship hit a reef near the coast of Mauritius and spilled 1,000 tons near a marine habitat, damaging the fragile coastal ecosystem. Perhaps the only thing more tragic than our planet's damage is the inequitable impact it is having. Developed nations are the key culprits to producing greenhouse gases, and developing countries, particularly Africa and its 54 countries, are most vulnerable to climate change despite contributing the least to the problem. The higher temperatures are scorching plants, powering cyclones, inducing droughts, fostering floods, stimulating storms, catapulting crop failure, leaving the poor question their food source. Based on the recent throne speech, the government has 4 key priorities. Embedded in one of those priorities is climate change. However, also in that speech it says, the course of events will determine what needs to be done when. With the needs to focus on health, economic recovery, inclusion, where does the climate crisis, and it is a crisis, fit in? And when will it be the priority? Be it spills, blazes, melts, or warming, the health of our environment is in our power. Many catastrophes are called natural disasters. However, many should be referred to as human disasters. Our choices impact our environment. Our actions often trigger a disaster or aggravate it, making the devastation much more tragic. Our ecosystem is being affected by our decisions. It may feel that we don't have the power to turn the tide of so many destructive choices, but it takes one person, one club, one district to make conscious choices. With action, we can create a positive ripple effect. The time is now. Your club can be passive or active, from donating to protect the planet, to volunteer for beach cleanups, to promoting and educating your club on conscious consumerism, to embedding in your club's DNA environmental considerations, to completely committing to the environmental activities for all your events. Before the pandemic, there was a commitment to the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, of which many focus on preserving and reversing the damage done to our planet. The world's priorities have shifted, but it doesn't mean each one of us can't be conscious of our environmental choices every single day. In our micro movements to our macro decisions, we can turn the tide on greenhouse gases and make our contributions count. The time is now, and the opportunity is yours.